This episode of the D-Lew podcast is brought to you by Happy Wrap. You ever wanted to design your very own gift wrapping paper? Now is your chance to do so. Whether it's for the holiday season, weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, no matter what the occasion calls for, you can use Happy Wrap to wrap your gifts. As a matter of fact, you can even design notebooks, greeting cards, gift tags, and so much more. You can sign up today at happy.thedlewpodcast.com and use the promo code DLEW to get your 10% discount at checkout. Again, that's happy.thedlewpodcast.com and use promo code DLEW to get your 10% discount at checkout. By Simpler Hair Color. Hey guys, are you tired of using that drugstore hair dye brand that isn't getting the job done? If you want to use a great product to cover those grays, have no fear, Simpler Hair Color is here. No mixing, no dripping, no mess. It's super easy to use, whether you're a beginner or a pro. Go to simpler.thedlewpodcast.com and use promo code DLEW10 for your 10% discount at checkout. Again, that's simpler.thedlewpodcast.com and use my promo code DLEW10 for your 10% discount at checkout. And by WWE Shop with Fanatics. Get your favorite WWE Superstars merchandise and wear them proud with superstars like the OTC Roman Reigns, Rhea Ripley, the Second City Saint CM Punk, John Cena, Main Event Jey Uso, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, and so many more. Oh, by the way, they got some really cool championship belts in there as well. So go to wrestling.thedlewpodcast.com. Again, that's wrestling.thedlewpodcast.com so you can go to WWE Shop with Fanatics. This podcast is a Believe Network and Siete production. Welcome to another edition of the D-Lew podcast, powered by Believe Network. I'm your host, Derrick T. Lewis, and what an incredible pro wrestling weekend that we just experienced with Elimination Chamber that took place this past Saturday night in Toronto, and of course, Monday Night Raw. And rather than give away the goodies in this intro, I'm just going to say, hey, Gabi and I are going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about and break down the entire event at Elimination Chamber, the aftermath, and what took place on Monday Night Raw, and what this all means on the road to WrestleMania. And let's not wait any longer. The Elimination Chamber recap show with me and Gabi starts right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, off the heels of one of the wildest pro wrestling weekends probably that we've seen in a very, very long time. Again, she's gracing us with her presence, as always, the matriarch of the D-Lew podcast, the one and only Gabi. Gabi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Man, oh boy. I'm still, trying to just process everything that we just saw Saturday night. And we're going to talk about all of that. Of course, we're going to talk about, of course, the Elimination Chamber, the aftermath. Of course, what happened on this past Monday's Monday Night Raw. But as we're recording this on a Wednesday, some news came out today regarding AEW, and it's regarding they're now offering their pay-per-views for purchase on Prime Video for fans across the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. And they put out a press release today, and it says All Elite Wrestling and Prime Video today announced a multi-year agreement to offer AEW pay-per-view events for purchase to fans across the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom, beginning with AEW Revolution this Sunday, March 9th. Live coverage begins at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern from Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. The deal represents a significant evolution in the distribution of AEW's content, making AEW's cutting-edge pay-per-view events more accessible than ever to fans through Prime Video. This includes all AEW tentpole events, including Revolution, Dynasty, Double or Nothing, All In, Forbidden Door, All Out, Wrestle Dream, Full Gear, and World's End. Quote, "We're thrilled to work with Prime Video to bring all AEW pay-per-view events to their incredible service, marking a major milestone in the continued expansion of AEW's global reach, said AEW CEO, GM, and head of creative Tony Khan. AEW's pay-per-view events are consistently the most exciting pro wrestling events in the world, and fans will now be able to experience that firsthand through Prime Video, beginning with AEW Revolution this Sunday, March 9th. These AEW pay-per-view events join Prime Video's selection of live sports globally, including Thursday Night Football, NBA, NHL, UEFA Champions League at no added cost on Prime, add-on subscriptions such as FanDuel Sports Network Max, Apple TV Plus, and Discovery Plus, as well as a growing portfolio of pay-per-view events, including Premier Boxing Champions. So another opportunity for AEW, to be seen on another streaming platform. But we had a little bit of a chat earlier today about this. Now, I get it. It's awesome that they're going to be shown. I think Bleacher Report is still showing it.
Hmm.
I believe that they're going to be showing it on Max and now Prime Video, and that's awesome. But
Hmm.
to me, the pay-per-view model I think is a bit outdated because the worldwide leader, like it or not, the
Hmm.
WWE told us in 2014, you no longer have to spend $70 on pay-per-view anymore. You
Hmm.
get the WWE network for only $9.99. And they did it. And of course, when they moved to Peacock, there's different pricing tiers with Peacock. I think it was $4.99 at one point, and
Yeah.
$7.99. But nonetheless, a lot of wrestling fans are conditioned now to we're not paying like 50 or $60 off the rip for all these pay-per-views. Now, keep in mind, when it was four a year from AEW, all right, it's cool. But they're doing a lot of events now. So
They're
talk to me
monthly
about
almost.
yeah. So talk to me about your thoughts when you first heard the news about that.
So my immediate thought was to see if it's included in my Max package. Because obviously I have Max. Most of us do.
Right.
We have various streaming services. But if I still have
Hmm.
to pay for it, like how does that benefit the masses? Like you said, you can pay $10, $15 a month. Um, and I can watch everything that WWE has to offer. So like I'm so confused as to where this is going. At one point, I know they were mentioning like a discount of some sorts for having it. I don't know, but they need to figure
Hmm.
it out because I used to be that girl that ordered all of them. And I can honestly tell you that I have not ordered AEW pay per view, which also sounds weird saying in 2025 pay per view. Um,
Yeah, I know, right?
haven't ordered one of those in a while now because it's like, it's just not, I just can't afford it. I cannot afford to spend $60 every month. That adds up to it. Like, it's just, and they build the cards so late, so it's like hard to kind of, I don't know. It just, again, how does that benefit the masses when you're doing that? 60 times
Right.
12, that's $720 that someone's spending a year to watch AEW when I can spend 60, $70 to pay it to watch it on. Like, no. Even Netflix, most people, like for instance, my Netflix is covered by my phone bill. My Verizon gives me free Netflix, or T-Mobile, whoever the heck we have, gives us
Right,
free
right,
Netflix as
right.
a part of having it. So it's like even then I'm not really paying for Netflix and bundling in with some other stuff. It's just,
Right.
what are we doing? How does this benefit your fans? How does this benefit the fan base?
Yeah, I agree. And again, like I said, AEW has a loyal fan base. Don't get me wrong. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we are not a anti AEW
We
podcast.
watch all
We
the
are not.
products.
We watch all of them. Trust me, we pay attention to it. But it's just the fact that we're pointing out some holes that they can maybe say, "Hey, man, maybe we don't have to go this way." My thing is, they should just stick to one streaming service and that's it. Because
Well,
you're clogging up the marketplace.
mm-hmm.
Again, you have the options. That's on one hand, that's cool, but from a consistency perspective, I'm of the mindset of like, look, man, have it on one. I thought the ideal situation was just, hey, we're on Max, come to Max. If you want AEW, come to Max. That's what I thought
Mm-hmm.
they were gonna do,
Mm-hmm.
but here we are. So we'll tie a bow on that. But of course, we're here to talk about the event called the Elimination Chamber that took place outside of these United States in beautiful Toronto, Ontario, Canada, um, at beautiful Skydome. And right off the bat, Pat McAfee kind of went off the rails a little bit because, of course, the Canadians were booing our national anthem. And hey, man, if the shoe fits, wear it. But that's how we started this show. And I'm just like, okay, if we're starting off like this, it's gonna be a crazy night. The first match was the women's elimination chamber match, and whoo, oh boy! So all six participants are in the ring, and of course, it's Naomi starting against Liv Morgan. And what's even crazier is that, of course, we got to talk about Bianca Belair's outfit. I mean, again, she's going to have a career when her in-ring career is done, probably in another 15 years the way she's going now. I would imagine she's going to have a job there as a seamstress making people's gear because she is so good at it. And she didn't have her coat off inside the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, before they close the chamber door, you hear Jade's music coming. And oh my God. First of all, she is the reflection of perfection. I mean, there is not a blemish on her. But she had on all black outfit that she would wear, in a wrestling match. And you think, and Liv Morgan to scare her eyes get big. She's like, oh my God, oh my God. Everyone's thinking she's gonna hit Liv. And oh man, she clocked Naomi into Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God. Talk about when you saw that and what that meant to you.
So it's funny. I had a few people over at my house watching it. Shout out to Black Wrestling. A few of them that are
Hmm.
local in Baltimore came through, and we were saying like it is go time for WrestleMania. Like it is time for
Hmm.
all of these storylines and plot twists to kick off like now. And I promise you, the minute he said that, the J music hit, and we're all like, here we have it. I find it interesting that Jay didn't. No, I'm sorry, that Naomi didn't fight back.
That part was really interesting too. Like
Mm-hmm.
she like took that butt
Mm-hmm.
kicking. I mean, she took some shots, man. I mean, she all through that plexiglass,
Mm-hmm.
and she even slammed the
Cage.
chamber. I was like, what in the world? And it was like, where do you go from here? Like you're starting off this show like this, and you saw Alexa Bliss. The look on her face was like, I'm glad I
Who
was
is she
not
and what
here.
is happening? Yeah.
Right, I'm pretty sure she was like, I'm glad I was not here when all of this went on. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But I gotta say, there's so much to this story because again, was it Nick Aldis brought Naomi and Bianca in was like 2 weeks ago to
Mm-hmm.
show them the footage of it wasn't you that ran over Jade. It was Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. And the sigh of relief, something just seemed like I don't believe this. It just didn't. It just didn't. It didn't. Something didn't sit right with me. How about you?
Yeah, I think that Bianca is the mastermind of all of this. Um, and at WrestleMania, we're gonna hear Jade's music hit, and she's gonna get make sure that Bianca loses the belt.
And we're gonna talk about a little bit later in the show because some things that happen on Raw. That's I think is gonna initiate that. But nonetheless, that's how we start off the match. And of course, because she was, she got beat down, she was unable to compete. Now I was thinking, well, wait, who's gonna replace her?
Same. We
Because
all was like, okay, is Becky coming
yeah,
in? Who's coming in? Like, yeah.
because a little under a month ago, Tozawa got the brakes beat off of him, and who replaced him? I Show
Speed.
Speed,
Hmm.
who ultimately got his clock cleaned. And man,
I think he's
unbelievable.
gonna be one of the new characters in 2K. I think he's gonna be one of the characters and they're gonna put him in 2K. I think
I
he's one
wouldn't
of
be
the
shocked.
special celebrity.
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked at
Yeah.
that at all. But I literally thought it was going to be somebody that was going to replace Naomi, and nonetheless, they just say she's officially eliminated, and of course, Bailey comes in, and of course Roxanne Perez comes
Hmm.
in, Alexa Bliss, and then of course Liv Morgan and Bianca, and of course Bianca Belair. But to me, the MVP of this match was Liv Morgan.
Hmm.
She
Agreed.
took some punishment. I mean, to me, this is what I always say when a lot of times they say, "Oh, this wrestler got better," or "That wrestler got better." No, they were always good. They were just told how to. This is what I want from you.
Hmm.
Because I know she works out with Natty and TJ, where a lot of the
Hmm.
wrestlers go down there. I believe in Tampa, I think is where they are. But
Hmm.
she literally is honing her craft, and she's just not, oh, I'm just here, to look pretty. No, Liv can get grimy in there.
Hmm.
And I gave her the MVP for this elimination chamber, especially when she took that ponytail shot from Bianca. I mean, that thing was like sound like a gunshot went off of Skydome. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Whoo. But the exchange with those two towards the end of the match, and by the way, kudos to Roxanne Perez. I mean, again, it's not even a matter of if, but it's a matter of when she is going to be a future WWE Women's Champion, because
Hmm.
she's in there rocking it, no pun intended, with those veterans. So no no hate on that at all. I mean, she did really did her thing, and like I said, she got, and of course, Bailey, she got pinned by Liv. Roxanne got pinned by Alexa. Alexa got pinned by Liv, and then of course Bianca hits Liv Morgan with the KOD, and now the EST is going to WrestleMania. And I
Hmm.
and keep in mind, Bianca is undefeated in WrestleMania, so I wonder, are they going to build the title versus the streak?
We'll
Nah.
see.
All right, so we're gonna move on now to the tag team match. And believe it or not, you thought it was gonna get 8 minutes. It actually got 11 minutes and 40 seconds. Trish Stratus and the WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton took on Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. And for what it was worth, the match was not bad. What were your thoughts on the match as you watched it? Just from your lens.
Gonna be honest with you, no one in my house watched that match. We watched the intros and then we talked about other random things. I just couldn't. The match just didn't connect with me. Like I just didn't. I couldn't get into it. A last minute build. I get that it was there to give like Trisha pop, hometown pop, or whatever. I just couldn't. I couldn't connect with that.
I will say this though, for Trish to be 48 years old and
Oh, she looks
doing
amazing.
the stuff, no, but I'm talking about actually working the
Yeah,
way
I mean,
she
she looks
and doing the
amazing.
things that she's doing, it's incredible. And I'm pretty sure if she didn't have, responsibilities and things like that, she'd be full time. But it's okay. And because technically Trish had a retirement match in '06, 2011, when she came out of
Hmm.
retirement to wrestle in the Snooki match at WrestleMania. Then SummerSlam 2019 when they were in Toronto. And in pro wrestling, you're never done. The late great Terry Funk showed us that, because Terry Funk had about 30 retirement matches. I'm gonna go home now. I'm gonna... Nah, God rest the Funker. God bless the Funker. But like I said, the match, it was what it was. I'm not gonna give a Dave Meltzer type star rating, because like it doesn't matter. You know, they sent in other words, that the fans they were excited to see their hometown hero, and thus, like I said, the end of the show last week, they were going to get the win. So
Hmm.
we'll move on from that. Up next was the unsanctioned match with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. First of all, to me, the sweet touch on this match was that the referee he had on a black
Hmm.
t-shirt.
And he entered the match wearing his gloves already because he knew it was about to be crazy.
Right. And I
Excuse
got to
me.
tell you that everything. you would have, I mean, it was everything but the kitchen sink, and I'm surprised the kitchen sink wasn't there. What were your
Mhm.
thoughts on this unsanctioned match? I mean, they really put caution to the wind. They really did.
So this one was a good one. The the spot that got me was the chair and barbed wire.
Uh,
Yeah, like that was a very AEW spot.
yeah, and but they did it safely, and I'll tell you,
They did.
when they had there was it the three stacked tables outside the ring on the corner, and Sammy was punching Kevin or whatever it was, and Kevin pushed him, and Sammy just did a front flip
Hmm.
onto the tables and landed safely. But I mean, that was man, they took some punishment. They really
Hmm.
did. I honestly thought there was going to be some interference in this match, and it wasn't. Now, one referee took a haluva kick from Sammy that knocked him out. Then there was another ref that came down. He got knocked out, and then poor Charles Robinson. He kept, Kevin pins Sammy, gets a 2 count, and Kevin just does a close. I mean, he ate that man, turned him inside out like
Hmm.
Rikishi used to do. That was
Hmm.
insane, and it was just so much chaos, but it kept everybody invested, including Aubrey Drake Graham, who was actually at ringside. No, there was no mention of him at all. I was really surprised by that. Drake was actually at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, apparently they O'Shea confirmed that they asked you if you want to be announced, and he declined.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect that. But nonetheless, Kevin Owens does win the match, and I mean they man, as chaotic as this event started as, it just kept doing this
Hmm.
because I mean there were some things that they pulled off in that match that I did not expect to
Hmm.
see, and of course the aftermath is that Kevin Owens beating up security, Kevin Owens beating up Sammy again, and of course like we all thought was going to happen, and it did happen, the return of Randy Orton. He comes to the ring. Kevin Owens, they start to go fisticuffs. Does the RKO on Kevin Owens, pulls down that knee pad, and he's ready to do that punt. And all of a
Hmm.
sudden, security comes in and stops him. Which, I mean, it pissed off the fans. But if you're looking at it from a long-term storytelling build, you don't do that at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
You do that at the Big Daddy, at the granddaddy of them all. That's where you
Hmm.
do that. Talk about the Orton's return and your thoughts on where this can lead. How you think this is going to be a build for 6 weeks going into WrestleMania?
I've been like trying to put that in universe for like what the past 2 months now of Randy Orton coming back, so I'm glad that it finally happened.
Hmm.
Um, I'm very curious to how this plays out. Because like you said, we're on the road to Mania, and I can't see Mania going without Randy having a match. So, I look forward to seeing this feud. I look forward to seeing this how this builds in the next couple of weeks.
Hmm.
Because it's go time. There's no time to waste. So I would very much look forward to watching wrestling on Friday.
Yeah, like I said, that was quite the return. He looked a little slimmer than what he was because I mean, when he came back last year, I mean, he was like just big for no damn reason. So he's
Hmm.
kind of in between there. So hopefully, like I said, we get that match at WrestleMania. And of course, the main event was the men's Elimination Chamber match with Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, Logan Paul, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and John Cena. And if there was a word to describe Logan Paul's participation in this match, it would be, if there was a phrase rather, not a word, but out of place.
See, I thought that too until we actually got to the match, and I was like, I see the vision. I see what they did here.
Talk about it.
So I too was confused as to how we got here, but at the end of the day, say what you want about the man, he can actually wrestle. He's gonna give you spots. He that match needed a heel's heel because everyone loves Punk, everyone loves Cena, everyone loves Seth. Like you needed someone to go in that match and hate. And
Yeah.
by all means, you don't like him. You respect his game. If you know ball, you know he can wrestle. But like that
Right.
match needed that someone that goes in and you're just like, I hate you. And like he fits that description. So that's kind of the only reason why that made sense to me. Because everyone
Yeah.
in that match, Damien, everyone loves someone in that match. There's no one in the chamber that everyone just hated. Like as much as Drew is a heel, you still like Drew because you like
Respect
that
them.
he
Yeah.
right, right.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
but there was no one in that match that you just did not like but Logan Paul. And that right there was his purpose. You needed a good heel.
That's a good eye. You know what I mean? When you broke it down that way, I'm just like, oh, okay, I definitely see that.
Now you see it,
But
right?
and he even like because he's in the plexiglass, he wrote OVO on
Again.
yeah, and I'm just like, oh, here we
You needed
go.
someone to hate.
Right. I love the fact that they did the sequence of the buckshot lariat
Yeah.
and like Punk did with Hangman and him in
Mm-hmm.
AEW, and of course Punk. And remember, I said it. I said Punk has to eliminate Logan Paul. Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
just no like Punk has to, and he did. And highlights of the match for me was number one, Damian Priest doing old school and then doing a freaking flying head scissors on Drew McIntyre. I'm like, oh my god! Like, I love what they're doing, and I would imagine that's a match we're gonna see at WrestleMania with Drew and Damian Priest, because Priest actually pinned Drew McIntyre, and
Mm-hmm.
Drew couldn't believe it, like couldn't believe
Mm-hmm.
it. And the moment for me was Punk and Cena getting into the ring, and mind you, they have I don't if I'm not mistaken, they have not touched since that Monday Night Raw in 2013, and the winner got to go to WrestleMania to face The Rock when Punk
Mm-hmm.
did that pile driver. That was 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something, I think Cena said, I miss you. And Punk
Mm-hmm. I
said, I
miss you
miss you too.
too.
I'm about to break. Oh my God. And they hug. And then
Mm-hmm.
they start going at it. They start going at it. And of course, Punk and Rollins is going at it. Then they did the go to sleep on Rollins. Cena does the AA. Punk pins Rollins 1, 2, 3. But then, of course, what happens? Punk ends up going on the middle rope or the bottom rope, and Rollins just curb stomps him. And rather than Cena being the good Samaritan, he said, no, no, no. He goes in there and he actually puts the STF on Punk, and Punk passes out, and he does not
Mm-hmm.
tap out. Thus, and what was crazy is that the referee didn't pick up Punk's hand 3 times, which is something we should really keep a close eye on,
Yeah.
because I have a feeling, and I'll just leave it at that. Notice just this story just was tailor made for Cena to. We'll talk.
Mm-hmm.
Nonetheless, you see the hatred in Seth's eyes because he said, if I'm not going to WrestleMania, you not going either.
Yep.
Like that crazy ex. If I hey, listen, nobody can love you. If I can't have you, nobody can have you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So John Cena does win Elimination Chamber, and he now goes on to face the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. But man, oh man, oh man, it gets ugly after this. Cody comes to the ring. It's all pleasantries, it's all fun, and all of a sudden you hear the Rock's music, and of course you hear Travis Scott's fiend, fiend, fiend. You hear them coming down, and I'm thinking that Travis Scott was just gonna stop there and then go to the back.
Mm-hmm.
Travis
Which is
Scott.
probably the plan, honestly. Just
Oh, you don't think that was
he was high off his mind. He had no clue what was happening. But yeah.
so I guess he was the Dennis Rodman of this whole. Anyways, so they come to the ring, and and he's walking around Cody, and he's burning sage and all this. I'm like, well, what the hell?
Not one sage, but all right.
Like, this is sacrilege. Are we sacrificing somebody? What are we doing here?
That
But
one sage.
right, well,
It's a little bit of the devil's lettuce, but go on.
Yeah, the weed, as a Stephen A.
All the
Smith would
devils.
say. And, the Rock was like, all right, we're here. Embrace me. And he said, if you accept this, you'll have everything you want. He said, if you say no, the dream dies again. And Cody, goes, I'm just, paraphrasing the early part of what he said. He said, I sold my soul a long time ago to this ring and to these fans. Hey, Rock, go fuck yourself. That pop was equivalent to when Sami Zayn hit Roman in the back at the Royal Rumble 2 years ago. The crazy thing is that all of this stuff didn't involve not one wrestling move. What were your thoughts on that early exchange verbally with The Rock and Cody Rhodes?
Not shocking. I think we all knew that was how that was going to go. I think we all knew. So,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, first of all, they let the F bomb fly on Peacock, which I was like, what?
They also had Travis Scott clearly rolling up. So, like, I wasn't, you know what I mean? So, like, in context, there was a
Yeah.
lot going on. Like, that 90 seconds, there was a lot going on.
Yeah. I mean, because like I said, he was just walking around Cody and he burning out. I'm like, what the hell? And John Cena was like, yeah. And he daps him up like, yeah. And he looks at The Rock, just a facial expression. And when The Rock did and you heard the fans, it was like a live action movie we were watching. And Cody has no idea. John Cena tried to shake his hand, kick him right in the nuts. And they commenced to beating the living hell out of him, bloodied him up. I don't even think commentary even knew what was in the ring. Michael Cole thought it was brass knucks, but it was that
Mm-hmm.
Rolex.
They were like,
It was the Rolex.
mm-hmm.
And of course, Travis Scott was in on the action, slaps my man in the face so hard, so apparently he had a black eye and I think a ruptured eardrum.
Mm-hmm.
And The Rock has that weight belt and he's wiping Cody's blood on it. And he's beating the crap out of him with that belt.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the end shot is what they have going off the air of those three in the aisleway. And that's how Elimination Chamber ends. First of all, I was at Legends on 33rd Street in New York City. Shout out to Jabba Tears podcast. Sir Wilkins and the crew, welcomed me with open arms in there. It was about 100 folks in there watching it at the sports bar. And we were literally like, we couldn't believe it. As much as we kind of knew the Cena heel turn was going to happen, to see it happen in real time was just unprecedented. So talk about, your thoughts on just really how shocking that was for the most part. I would say for the casual fan.
Um, so it's funny because in one of my group chats, the minute that Cena won, someone literally typed out corporate Cena. So like, you know what I mean?
Mm,
I wasn't shocked after I saw that. I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense because he's never been a heel like that. You know what I mean? Like he's never had like the ultimate arc, character arc where he's like that super villain.
hmm
And you might as well like it's your last go out, and it makes sense. Again, like we talked about in this past, talked about before on this, is that if someone's gonna dethrone Cody, it has to be someone that can take it.
hmm
So like if you think about it that way, it makes sense. And once again, it's John Cena, right? John Cena's heel turn was on Good Morning America. It was on ESPN. It was on all of like
First take.
it was on like all of the real, I hate to say real, but like all of like the major news sources were covering it.
Yeah,
So like it's definitely, and like he said in the last one, it's good for business, right?
agreed. And I remember watching First Take on Monday, and Shannon Sharp, because he loves wrestling. He said, "John Cena, you gonna pay for this." You gonna pay for this. Because Shannon Sharp grew up in Georgia, and who did he watch?
Mm-hmm.
The American Dream, Dusty
Yep.
Rhodes, just like I did. And the first thing I thought about when Cody was getting that beat down was the lyric in that song. My father said when I was younger, hard times breed better men. And
Mm-hmm.
these are hard times that Cody is going to be experiencing on this bumpy, bumpy ride to WrestleMania. But to see sports outlets retweet the picture of Cena hugging Cody with that face,
Mm-hmm.
he honestly looked like two different people. He legit looked like two different people when he did that. I actually stole the picture actually, but they pick stitched the Cody Cena picture with the scene from Juice where Bishop hugged Raheem's
Mm-hmm.
mother after the funeral because he was the one that killed him.
Mm-hmm.
That is some cold shit. That is cold. But this is where we need to go. Because to be honest, a lot of people were saying that Cody's championship reign was underwhelming. No fault of Cody's. He just didn't have that villain. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And now, because I'll be honest with you, for those that were saying they were kind of on the Cody train, they are now.
Yeah.
They are now. And on Friday, when he shows up for SmackDown in Philadelphia, which I might be in the tent, I might pull up. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
That crowd's gonna go crazy for Cody. It's gonna show him that love. But that promo is gonna be epic
Yeah.
on him recapping what happened at Elimination Chamber. All in all, what were your thoughts on this whole event? Because again, we started with chaos in the beginning, there was chaos in the middle, and there was utter chaos at the end.
So I'm not a chamber girl like that. It's not one of like my bigger like standout pay-per-views, honestly. So like I went into it not expecting much, and it's honestly was the better elimination we've had in years, and honestly probably one of the better PLEs we've had in a very long time, honestly.
I would
So
say
definitely like blew my mind with expectation wise for sure. Like I just assumed this would be a wham bam, thank you, man, on to the next thing. So like I was very impressed with the timing of it, the pacing of it, everything just kind of flowed. Um, Again, probably one of their better PLEs they've had in the last several months, honestly.
it was like I said, it was unexpected. And I think for
Hmm.
people to say, "Oh, WWE is so predictable," it's so predictable. Not
Buckle up because
elimination
we're
chamber.
in for a whole new. This is going to be a long year. This is going to be a
Yeah.
long, long year.
So we'll definitely tie the bow on Elimination Chamber. Again, wanted to Gabby's point, that was one of their best shows that they've done in a very, very long time. I could put that up again, mind you. There was only four matches,
Hmm.
four, but they all meant something because we were kind of like, even when we did the show last week, I was a little excited about it, but not as excited as I thought I was gonna be. But
Hmm.
you were just kind of like, because the way it was set up, we just didn't know.
Right.
And now it's like Triple H is they're cooking now, so
Hmm.
we'll definitely see how things are going to pan out. But of course, this past Monday on Raw, it starts off with a very angry CM Punk driving into the arena, and he gets on the microphone, and then that man scorched earth.
I knew the minute that he like drove through Gorilla, he was gonna like set the promo of his life up. One thing Punk can do is he can just cut you a promo. He don't do nothing else. He does nothing else. He can cut you a promo.
This is if I tell you right now, I tweeted this. We got 2011 CM Punk back now. I think after all, that he had with the injury, with the arm and everything, the tricep, he's back. I believe CM Punk. If nobody didn't believe that Punk wasn't back, oh, you better believe it now because he said, "Hey, Dwayne, you bald fraud." He's like, and now he's like, "I'll tell you this to your face, but you're not here to grace us with your presence and do your bullshit." He said, "You're slapping your arm like you care about this." I mean, man, he went off. He went off. He was like, he's like, what type of delusional man walks around with a fake title, calling himself the people's champion? He said, I earn it. But everybody was talking about, didn't he walk around with a fake title in AEW? No. CM Punk never lost that title.
Hmm.
And that was a storyline that they were going
That
to
was,
ultimately have that was going to lead up to him going up against whoever the AEW champion was, which I believe was MJF at that time. Because at
yeah.
that London show, MJF had wrestled Adam Cole in the main event. So I would imagine that that was something that was probably in the works. Or it could have been him and Joe. We don't know. But for fans to get on that high horse and say, "Oh well, he had," no, that was Punk never lost that title.
Hmm.
So shut your mouths. But I mean, he's going on and on about John Cena. He was like, "I'm gonna beat you, ball frauds." He said, "And you'll make a wish that I never did."
Yep.
Man, you said it, and we'll get to the second half of that promo in a second. But you said about Punk could cut a promo. It's not. I don't look at Punk just cutting a rest. He's not cutting a promo. He's just going out there and being himself. He's going out there and he's telling you who he is. He's telling you I'm unhinged. He said I'm middle aged and crazy. Nice Terry, nice homage to Terry Funk. But
Hmm.
that's where he's at in his career now. But for me, it felt like he turned back the clock, and we got 2011 post pipe bomb CM Punk. But then, of course, he talks about Seth Rollins and talking about how, he ruined his dream of main eventing WrestleMania. And, because again, Seth was eliminated and never left the cage. And he did that curb stomp, like I alluded to earlier,
Hmm.
and cost Punk the match. And he says something in the lines of Becky Lynch. He said, "You better get your man before I do." And then, of course, Seth's music hits, and they're going at it. I mean they were going at it. And then I think maybe about 45 minutes later, Seth was shown leaving the building. I believe it was Kathy Kelly. She was like, "Tell me, what's going on." And next thing you know, he's charging that Punk again. They're going at it in the back. And then Adam Pearce walks him out to his bus. And he said, "You two, next week, Madison Square Garden, cage match." If there were some seats remaining at MSG, they're probably gone by now. That's how
Yeah.
you talk them into the building. Talk about that pro. Talk about the second half of that promo, and because there were some other things that happened on Twitter that we got to talk about too.
Yeah. That was weird. Twitter stuff was weird.
That was inappropriate. If it was something where it was story based, it's one thing. But and we'll talk about it. We'll might as well just talk about it. Basically, the part where Punk was saying, "Becky Lynch, you better get your man before I do." That was just saying, you better hold him back before I kick his ass.
Hmm.
Somebody had tweeted a picture of CM Punk and Roxanne Perez. That's like her mentor. That's like her wrestling
Hmm.
dad, and was like, this is so weird." And then she said, "I'm not the only one that needs to get my man." That was Bush League, inappropriate, and that just wasn't cool. Like if you want to get
Yeah.
cheap, and honestly, that wasn't even cheap Heat. That's just ridiculous. Like, and what bothers me sometimes is that you got your Punk haters out there or whatever. But here's the thing, right? In pro wrestling, I got because I'm in the wrestling business as a ring announcer, and there are some OGs that I call my big brothers, or there's some guys in wrestling I call my wrestle uncles because they showed me the way, and that's just me respecting them. There's wrestle aunties that I have in the business. There's wrestle moms that I have in the business. So to insinuate that Punk may have done something like inappropriate or whatever the case, that man, he's a happily married man. You know what I'm saying? And for you wrestling, and this is where I get I get I'm gonna scorch earth right now. For you wrestling fans that did that dumb shit, go fuck yourselves. Go fuck yourselves because to sit up there and post, I mean, and post pictures like that or whatever the case. Again, it's social media. You want to there's things that we can all post and laugh at, but you're putting a real life situation, and then of course a former wrestler's gonna make light of it. I mean, come on, you can't do that. It's uncalled for, and it's ridiculous and it's sad. That's exactly why CM Punk is not on Twitter. His Twitter account is active, but he is not on there. He hasn't tweeted anything since 2022. It's a cesspool. And whoever is doing that shit, you should be ashamed of yourselves. So go fuck yourselves. Now, I got that out of my chest now. But to set up the Madison Square Garden match was freaking brilliant because again, I believe what's going to happen is that the OTC is going to return at MSG next week. He's going to interfere in that match. And who knows? I don't know what the finish is going to be. It might be Rollins going over. I don't know. But I think this is what's going to end up leading to that triple threat match at WrestleMania. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, we have to get there. Roman, I mean, you can't have Mania without Roman. So he definitely,
Agreed.
and like you said, now it's go time, right? And Madison
Right, right,
Square
right.
Garden are normally when they have like the bigger, it's obviously a bigger show. It's not a PLE, but it's still considered a pretty big deal anytime I go to Madison Square Garden. So, yeah, but also it's go time. So like it needs to happen now, or what are we doing?
Right. So I mean, it was seriously because I mean they literally were just going. I mean they were just fighting throughout the arena, and I mean they had security all over the place. I liked it. That was a nice way to start off Monday Night Raw. It really, really was. Side note though, off that, I know we had a world tag team title match, with the War Raiders and the Creed brothers. Is it me or they don't put any focus on the world tag team titles on Raw?
Anymore? No.
Because when I was watching it on Monday, because I was at the gym watching it, and I mean, again, this is why I love Netflix, because I could watch that thing right on the treadmill. I could watch it on the bike, and even when I'm lifting or whatever, I can still listen, have it tilted, and I could watch. And it just seemed like I know they announced the match last week, but I just don't feel like they're putting a lot of emphasis on the World Tag Team titles on Raw. Now, the WWE Tag Team title situation on SmackDown, they're cooking. All of those tag teams, which I believe is going to end up being a five-way, I could be, again, I'm only guessing. I have no idea. I could be totally wrong, by the way, which I'll be the first to admit. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I believe somehow, some way, and I'm hoping and I'm praying that we get a TLC match with all five of those tag teams at WrestleMania. But there's something is missing. I don't know what it is. What do you think is missing? Do you think it's the amount of tag teams that's on Raw? Talk to me.
Oh no, they definitely need tag teams. That's why I can't wait for the Lucha Bros to finally happen. They definitely need more tag teams. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I when we got that news, was it Monday? They announced
Yeah, Monday, because we were joking about he's gonna be out tonight. I was like, nah, he's not. It's too much going on right now.
what
But
I
yeah, no, they definitely could. They could like introduce him Monday, as far as I'm concerned, and throw him in a tag team match for Mania, him and his brother.
the best way to introduce him is having Ludwig Kaiser and Pete Dunne jump Penta, and all of a sudden, here he comes. That's how you introduce Ray Phoenix. That's how you introduce him to Monday Night Raw, to the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
because I think the hardcore fans know what's going on. So, and then I think they can kind of go into as times, and I think honestly that might be the match for WrestleMania: the Lucha Bros versus
Mhm.
Ludwig
Because
Kaiser and Pete Dunne. That'll be a nice way because you figure Pete Dunne and Ludwig Kaiser aren't really a tag team. I just think they're just kind of
fair.
they have a common enemy right now. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
that's what I'm thinking. But of course, at the end of the night, we had a women's world championship match between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Of course, Bianca Belair is at ringside. Now, everybody on planet Earth, including me, and I'm sure you, was under the impression that, okay, safe to say that Rhea was going to walk out with the title.
I
But
didn't.
really,
Hmm.
but something that they did that I was very surprised that they did at Elimination Chamber, which I forgot to mention, when Bianca was walking back and Rhea Ripley came out to greet her, and Io Sky comes out. They were putting a lot of emphasis and promotion on that women's world championship match on Monday night. Talk to me about what your thoughts were in regards to the title change.
So the way that Io Sky deserves a Mania match, and the way that, like, you know what I mean? I just think that it was time for something to shake up. Everyone wanted Rhea and Bianca, and I'm not
Right.
saying we're not going to get it. It'll probably be a triple threat match. Um, they never give us what they want. They never give us what we want. And there's always, if one thing I've learned with TKO now that VKM is gone, is there's going to be a plot twist.
I 100%, I totally agree with you because what was really cool that Io did all the moves of every member from Damage Control. The Oscar lock, she did the insane elbow, and she did Dakota Kai's finisher.
Hmm.
And of course, Rhea was kicking out of it and everything. But the interesting thing was that, Rhea got mad. She took her eye off the ball. She told Bianca, "Why are you cheering for her instead of cheering for me? Oh, you want to face her at WrestleMania?" And she tried to do the riptide
Hmm.
off the top rope, and Io just reversed it and did that move and pinned her 1, 2, 3. I was completely shocked. I was coming home from the gym while the match was going on. I did not want to get out of my car. I literally sat in my driveway and had my phone on my dash, and I wanted to see the rest of that match. And wow, wow, wow. I mean, it was a shocker. Like it's safe to say that the last, the last two shows from WWE was like had us on our heels because we just did not were not expecting all of these surprises and all of these twists and turns and everything. So this road to Mania is going to be something special. It truly, truly is. But there were those that thought, oh, Rhea's getting punished because apparently she took a picture with TK when they were over in Australia.
No.
And I'm just like, I had a hard time believing that because I'm just like, first of all, she had his face covered with a heart emoji. So honestly, until somebody told me it was Tony Khan, I honestly didn't know who it was. It didn't care to
Hmm.
be honest with you.
Same.
S right. I mean, people take pictures with I mean, look at Drew McIntyre took a picture with Jungle Boy. He's doing
Yeah, I mean,
fine.
none of these things matter. Like, it's fine.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So they showed the promo after the match when Rhea was in the back and she was down on herself. And this is where, to your point, where this could end up being a triple threat match. Now, Io does deserve a Mania match. Because let's be clear, last year WrestleMania, when Io defended the WWE Women's Championship against Bayley, that was one of the best wrestling matches of the weekend. That match isn't talked about enough. That match was not talked about
Hmm.
enough. I felt and it was the co-main event technically of the night because it was right before the main event. But I actually enjoyed the match, and a triple threat match will be cool. But you said something earlier about Jade getting involved, costing Bianca the match, and I believe this is where I think possibly a title change could happen, but maybe Rhea getting the belt back.
I could see Io retaining, honestly.
And that could be a possibility too. You know what I'm saying? And Rhea can get pissed, and maybe we can have some new matchups potentially. Rhea, Jade, or what obviously Bianca and Jade, which I can they can get. You figure that's the middle of April. SummerSlam's the beginning of August. That's like 3.5 months. They can easily get a 3.5. They can get some mileage out of that Bianca and Jade and have it
Hmm.
culminate at SummerSlam.
Hmm.
I that can happen. I can totally see that happening, and we're not going to see. And it's crazy. Now we're off the Raw thing. We're not going to see John Cena until they're in Europe.
Hmm.
My question is, will The Rock be there?
Yeah.
Because I was listening to Busted Open. Shout out to the guys over at Busted Open. Bully, I think it was Dave LaGreca. He was saying how he needs to see The Rock with John Cena. Cena can't be by himself.
Yeah.
Not in this light. Rock needs to be there because to me, in order to really take him seriously as this super villain, because remember, The Rock was the one to put that battery in his back.
Hmm.
He sold his soul. So who knows what's going to happen? Because like I said, they're going to be in Europe, not this coming Monday because they're at the Garden, but the following 2 Mondays they're going to be over in Europe. Doing Monday Night Raw, and which you'll actually be able to see live during the day if you're stateside.
Hmm.
So we get to get some daytime Monday afternoon
The
Raw.
afternoon Raw, right?
Exactly. I would have never. Could you imagine years ago that we would actually be watching a live Monday Night Raw in the afternoon? That is crazy. I mean, this is where we are now in regards to how technology is really pushing industries forward in the best way possible.
Hmm.
So to sum up, and we're gonna tie a bow on this show in just a second, but just to sum up, you know, I guess Elimination Chamber and this past Monday's Raw. To sum it up, what's the theme of this past weekend?
Chaos.
Mm.
Chaos. That's the theme. It's chaos. And I'm here for it.
Incredible, incredible, incredible. But before we give your social media information, ladies and gentlemen, I'm letting you guys know now, Gabby and her girls over at Lip Gloss and Ladders knocked out an incredible interview with one of the stars of Queen of the Ring, the movie that's coming out this Friday on theaters everywhere. The movie is about the late, great pro wrestling legend Mildred Burke, former NWA Women's World Champion. And it talks about, to me, and this is just because I haven't even watched the movie, but just me being a wrestling historian, just about what women went through during that time. And I know during Mae Young's Hall of Fame speech, she alluded to some of those things, how
Hmm.
hard it was, and how she had to be super super tough to deal with a very toxic masculinity type situation back then. So talk about a little bit about your interview, and of course where they can hear the actual interview on the podcast.
So for sure, you guys can go to our Lip Gloss and Ladders YouTube. It's YouTube exclusive. It will only be available there. And we got a chance to start with chat with Damaris Lewis regarding her role as Ethel Johnson. I'm sorry, her role as Babs Wingo, Ethel's sister, who was played by Naomi in the film. I'm sorry, Trinity Fatu in the film.
Right.
We got a chance to sit down. We talked to her like 15 minutes or so about her training for it. How it's important to tell these stories
Hmm.
for our history. So yeah, definitely I recommend you all go check that out for us.
Yeah, I plan on doing it, and I know Jim Ross was one of the executive producers of this film because he's an incredible he's a walking wrestling institution,
Mm-hmm.
and he's worked for promoters that worked with Mildred Burke. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you knew, I think you may know when they introduced the NWA Women's Championship under Billy Corgan's NWA, they called that title the Burke to
Mm-hmm.
honor Mildred Burke. And speaking of the NWA, did you hear that Natty is going to
Natty.
be wrestling at the Crockett Cup? Can you believe it? This is bizarre. Yo, I'm telling you right now, this is bizarro world right now that we're living in. And when it comes to the world of professional wrestling, because number one, she's doing Josh Barnett's blood sport in Vegas Mania weekend.
Hmm.
She's doing it. I attended Bloodsport the day after AEW Full Gear in Jersey City. MVP actually wrestled. He actually fought Josh Barnett, and there was a few other the women. I think Marina Shafir was there as well,
Hmm.
and quite a few others. Um, oh God, I forgot the girl from NXT that she actually fought on that card as well. But still, in all, like wrestling is like if it to be in this industry as a ring announcer, but also to do this podcast with Gabby and for Gabby to be involved with her podcast and they're doing extremely well, getting opportunities and they're interviewing movie stars, ladies and gentlemen, and they're going places. Like the wrestling industry is on fire. And if you're not on board now, you better get on because it's going into orbit. Let me tell you right now. So where can everybody find you on social media as well?
You guys can find me at Hi Gabrielle on all social medias, including YouTube.
Awesome, awesome. Well, as always, thank you so much for what you continue to do. And it's gonna be a crazy ride going into WrestleMania. Let me tell you right now.
Let's
Well,
go.
ladies and
Ready.
gentlemen, that does it for this week's edition of the D-Lew podcast. Once again, thank you, Gabby, so much for what you continue to do, for the D-Lew podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, no matter which platform. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music has podcasts, Pandora, no matter which platform, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you get all content from the D-Lew podcast, especially my YouTube channel, where you get not only the D-Lew podcast, the audio and video version, but you also get to see all of my music, whether it's the music videos or the music itself, and of course, all of my acting reels. Social media. Make sure you're following the D-Lew podcast on all platforms at the D-Lew podcast. My social media is at the real DT Lew, with the exception of Facebook, which is Derek T. Lewis official page. Don't forget to hit up my stores. Pro Wrestling Tees is pwt.derektlewis.com. And of course, you can hit up my store, which consists of all the D-Lew podcast merch, Siete music merch, over at shop.derektlewis.com. Well, I'm going to get out of here. And as I always say, no matter what it is you do in life, always remember to make it count. See you next time.